Good afternoon, and thank you all for coming out this afternoon. I know you can't do much on the land, just as an introduction, so this is what we're going to be talking about this afternoon up on the screen there. I've got to say a few things before we start. So you are going to be filmed, well, or I'm going to be filmed. Perhaps you're not going to be filmed. So we are filming this as we usually do, and I'll be seeing it and editing it in any case. So just to let you know. So yeah, really good. We've never had so many people attending, and I think perhaps it's the hog roast and cider, or it may be the speakers. I'm not so sure. And we've got some people travelling from far and wide. We've got some people from Essex here, I believe. Who's here from Essex? We've got a few hands up. Quite a few people from Essex here, which is, yeah, really good. And Norfolk, we've got people from Norfolk as well. Yeah, which is, so some people have travelled up to 2 hours to get here for the hog roast, which is really good. Sorry, speakers. One point we do have, actually, we do have the press here. So in the form of Susie, and Susie's down here. Susie, do you want to put your hand up? So Susie Horn, who is the business editor of Farmers Weekly. It's a very friendly press, okay? Anything that Susie puts in the Farmers Weekly normally comes past me if it's anything to do with that. Is that correct? No. Okay. Okay. I tried, everybody, but yeah. No, Susie is a very friendly and sensible press person. She's I've known Susie for hundreds of years, a long time. Yeah, good. So just need to tell you that the press is here. So I've actually got here somewhere. I've actually got here my favourite bottle of my favourite wine in here. There's a bottle there, and so just to make it interesting, we thought that the most interesting question or comments that comes from the audience will get a bottle of wine. Okay, so and I'm hoping that perhaps you can vote yourselves who you think should have that bottle of wine at the end. Okay, chaps. Yeah, George is here, already got an eye on it. So yeah, so I'll be guided by you as to who has that bottle of wine. It's my favourite bottle, my favourite wine, by the way. So fire. So. There's a huge amount of people here. So in terms of fire, I've had no guidance. So if you all sit down, let me go out, and then you're on your own. So that's probably the best way. So what we're going to do before we start, we did have a Slido, which means that you have a QR code on your chair. So, which you can vote with your phone. So we got 3 questions that we thought we'd just start off with to set the scene, as it were. Okay. So if you can, Matt here's my technical assistant. So you're going to put I think you're going to put something up there.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. So we're going to have so you can vote with your phone. So. Joe, you're not going to do it, you boys. Okay, that's fine. So hopefully you'll yeah, okay. So you can actually scan the QR code. So last time we had 3 questions about wills, and the results last time was 1/3 of the people in the audience did not have a will at all. Okay, and then of the other 2/3, half of them, their wills were not up to date. So. There's 3 or 4 lawyers in the room. I'm looking at Julie down here. Plenty of work, Julie, for the future, and Gareth around somewhere. Yeah. Do you have a will that has been reviewed, updated in the last 5 years? So if you can get that in your on your phone and vote, that would be really, really good. And we'll revisit some of these at the end. Yeah, I know. Okay. So do you have a will that's been reviewed, updated in the last 5 years? Can you please vote now? So, and that vote, actually, Matt, should come up on there. So you're in controlling it on your phone. Okay. Yeah. I don't know how this lot works. There's no results at the moment. Oh, right, okay. I'll let them build up on there. Yeah, sure, yeah. So they're way there we are. 57% and 43% no. So it's 43% of you that haven't got a will that's been updated in the last 5 years. So this is similar results to what we had last time, and obviously this is a lot of work that we do. Is it changing? That's it. That is the result. Okay. Yeah, so and that is really interesting again. And I think, Susie, on Farmers Weekly, I gave you a press release on that last year, and I don't think you published it, did you? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you said you'd do. Yeah, okay. Right, this is to remind you. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. So, and then the second question is more to do with what we're talking about today, and a bit later on at the end. Do you believe that the food producing part of your business is profitable? Okay. So, do you think that the food producing part? So, I hope that's quite clear. Not diversification. The food producing part of your business is profitable. 60-40. Oh, less and less. It's going the other way. Okay, yeah, that's really interesting. That's good. Do you believe the food-producing part of your business profit, which is good news? Yeah, 70-30 now. Perfect. Okay, any more voting? That's it. 70-30 exactly. That's really good. Okay, that's fine. And then we have another. So we'll be showing that one at the end when we have a bit of a discussion. Okay, I hope Matt will be able to bring that back up. And should we have to rely on selling environmental benefits for the country to have cheap food? This is quite a... So should we rely on selling environmental benefits for the... Perhaps we should be doing both, and perhaps hopefully the speakers will be answering some of these points. Should we have to rely... 89% countries have cheap food. No. Okay, 90% no. Yeah, and 87-13. Should we have? Yeah, should we have to rely on selling environmental benefits for the country to have cheap food? No. So, yeah, and the last one was 70% of our businesses, food producing part of our business, without diversification, is profitable, which is really good news. Okay, so that sets the scene, and thank you very much, Matt. Okay, so. We'll revisit those at the very end, as I said. So we're now going to move on quickly to the second part of that, which is, are you ready for a Labour government? And so I'm going to ask some of my technical support team to come forward a bit, please. But I think we may have a Labour government. I don't know. We might have a Reform Party government. Potentially, we don't know. There's probably 3 contenders now, and so we've got three. We've got Emma and Sam. Do you want to go to the other side as well? Emma and Sam and Luke up here. So basically, I'm going to ask them first about the budget, because we've got a budget next week. So and when we first did this, I'd forgotten about the budget. So we're going to start off about the budget, and Luke here has been quite knocked sideways by some of the news, because I think, Luke, that the basic rate of tax potentially, which is 20% at the moment, and as I said, Luke's knocked sideways because it's going to go down to 19%, and he's not very good at maths. So our tax fees may go up if he's going to spend hours calculating. So, Luke, is that correct? So.
That's what they're talking about. That's one of the ideas, is to reduce the basic rate tax fairly small. A lot of people see that potentially issues with especially calculating it.
See. Yeah. Okay. So, and I think that the other point, Luke, is that the raising threshold, rather than dealing with the the actual rates, moving thresholds, we've had the threshold brought down. The 45% rate has been brought down from 150 to 125,000, which catches people earlier. So have they said anything about changing the bands in terms of from 20 to 40? There's a 60% band, and then etc. Has anything been said about that?
No.
Wow.
To date, no mention has been made of the rate bands at all, which makes us think that potentially there could be some changes there, even if that means slightly reducing them or just freezing them again going forward. So potentially another stealth tax on no increase in the rate bands.
Yeah, so basically, as Luke said, I think it's a stealth. That is, the stealth tax is not announced because of freezing the bands, and then you hit the bands a lot earlier, and a lot of people paying more tax as a result of that. If anybody wants to ask a question to these very learned people here, please do so. Sam, dividends and capital gains tax. What's happening? Obviously, we've got some changes happening at the moment, haven't we? That's been announced from before. So any changes that are coming in that we know about already, that's in addition to the budget.
Yes, the capital gains tax annual exemption was reduced, and so it was previously 12,000. We're now in this current year 6,000 for the annual exemption, and after the 5th of April that goes down to 3,000. So less opportunities for sort of making gifts free of capital gains tax, really. And in terms of dividends, again, the allowances, we had a £2,000 allowance. So for most of our clients that have got companies, every year we used to ensure that they use that £2,000 annual allowance to get money out the company free of tax. That is currently £1,000, and it is dropping to 500 in the next tax year. So I think, as Luke mentioned, you can see that rather than altering tax rates, they increase taxes by actually sort of decreasing bands and likely to see reliefs and things squeezed, which don't tend to hit the headlines.
Thanks, Sam. And I was talking to you earlier, and you were very concerned about the increased cost of vaping. I don't know whether you're a secret smoker.
I'm not a vapor, but I just happen to read, yes, any vapors out there, as well as the VAT that's already on vapes, a vaping levy. So is going to be added to vape. So maybe that will stop all our youngsters going out.
Any of you who are vapors, probably the vapors are outside round the back in any case, probably haven't come in yet. But yes, so there's that. And Emma, over to you. So Emma is Accession and a chartered financial planner. So pension.
Well, hopefully there's not going to be any more changes in the spring budget. Thanks for landing me with that really exciting topic, Gary. Changes we've already seen, though, the annual allowance has gone up to 60,000, so that's welcome news. And they've scrapped the lifetime allowance, which made the headlines. Fortunately, they've introduced 3 new allowances instead, so that's giving us fun and games at the moment. The other main change that may come out of the budget, we'll wait and see, is with regards to the child benefit. It's an interesting system at the moment. You can have one person in a household earning 60,000 and they don't get it, or 2 earning 50,000 and they do. So watch this space. I think there's probably scope for some changes there.
Okay, thanks, Emma. So that's sort of the potentially the budget. So Labour government coming in. So one of the headlines has been, Sam, VAT on school fees.
Yes, I think it's been in the press for a long time, and it will affect, quite a few of our clients. So I think reading between the lines, there's sort of 2 elements to it. So VAT on school fees at the moment, it's exempt because private schools are an eligible body that provide education. So they could withdraw that in the legislation, but it obviously then takes time to get legislation through Parliament. So I think if we do have VAT on school fees, we'll be looking at probably the 25-26 school year at the earliest. I think it gives time still for people to plan. I think we do a lot of school fees planning via the use of discretionary trusts. They're also useful inheritance tax planning tools. So whilst, we can't do anything about the VAT on school fees, it does make it slightly sort of more palatable if you are paying school fees via a trust and you can actually claim back, a good chunk of the tax that the trust has actually paid if you're paying school fees for a minor child, or even for education, for university education, rents, as long as that sort of child has no other income or limited income, then you can reclaim the tax that the trustees have paid. So, some
Good.
way to recouping that.
Yeah, so we have many clients who have that structure where you can pay school fees before tax, which is very useful. So if you haven't got that structure, just speak to us and see what we can do. So I'm just going to move on to APR and inheritance tax, Luke. So I don't think there's any changes, but it's been mooted for a long time that agricultural property relief may disappear. What would be the effect if we had an APR?
It would vary.
Would you be worried?
For the day-to-day working farmer, there shouldn't be a huge worry because most farming businesses would qualify for business property relief in most cases. For landlords, they would be the ones that would have the main issue. A withdrawal of APR would mean that a lot of the land then would be subject to 40% tax.
This is FBTs you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Again, I think if they did make a change to APR, it would be to try and sweep up those people that are going around buying up land just to get the relief, more than the day-to-day working farmer. Hopefully they would bring in another type of relief or extend BPR just to catch farmhouses, for example, which would also suffer from the loss of APR.
That's not to knock farmhouses. That's to
bring it into relief.
Into the relief. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that would be the main asset that would suffer from a withdrawal. Really, farmhouses don't qualify for business property relief, so it would be trying to extend that so that working farmers could also maintain the relief on the house.
Good. Okay. Capital gains tax.
Yes, again, there's an extension to holdover relief for agricultural property relief assets. If APR was withdrawn, then it'd be a lot more difficult to gift during a lifetime some certain assets again, which would include farm cottages and farmhouses and such assets. So yeah, could be a major change if they do that, but at the moment, no talk of actual withdrawal.
No, okay. So one of the big things, I'm not sure if we've got Robert Webb in. Yeah. Oh, there he is, right in front of me. So one of the big things that I think Labour government have announced is compulsory purchase of development land at agricultural value. And so many of you here have got that development land we're talking to you about, etc. So Robert spoke here 2 or 3 years ago and specialises in bringing land forward for development, and he's helped many of our clients. So Robert, perhaps you'd be best to answer this very briefly in a couple of sentences. What effect that would have if the Labour government, and they have said they would do this, I believe, haven't they? So, Robert, can you grab the microphone and perhaps...
I think they say all the right things, Gary, for people who haven't got development land or people who aren't earning the money. It's what people want to hear, that we can acquire this land and bring housing forward. But the reality is it would take time to impose that legislation. The average compulsory purchase order takes 6 years. Right. So if Labour are only in for 5, it may not actually happen. I've been to a number of viability seminars where councils are saying actually agricultural land for development, landowners should only get 100,000. That's it, and the rest goes to the council or the government. Obviously, I've objected to that. So they're looking at trying to squeeze more money out of development land. But I think in short, in answer to your question, I can't see they can force it through in the time they're going to be in power.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So,
Anybody got any comments about that? Worried about that? So, Luke's got a question.
Yeah.
Wow.
As part of the compulsory purchase that they've announced, they've also announced some reform to the planning and the land purchase rules. Do you think that might change so that it doesn't take quite so long to enforce a compulsory purchase order?
Again, they've got to legislate for it. So it takes time. I mean, the government's been trying to tinker with the planning system, well, it has continually. Had the National Planning Policy Framework, which updated just before Christmas. Again, that took all year alone to do, and it was supposed to have happened a year before. So I think it's a lot of talk, but whether it happens quickly is a different matter. And what will happen is people will object. Farmers won't want to sell their land, and then it's happened before with development land tax in effect, and land just won't come forward.
Thanks, Robert. Any questions? So, Will, tongues. Yes, in case you're just nodding off there. So, what would happen if APR disappeared on FBT land? Will, off the top of your head, put you on the spot.
Well, I guess you'd like to say, but people will restructure FBTs onto contract farming agreements and share farming agreements.
Absolutely, yeah.
Whether there will then be more scrutiny on the structure of those contract farming agreements to make sure that the landowner is properly taking risk, I suspect they probably would, wouldn't they?
Yeah, probably, yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks, Will. Good. So, anything else on this topic, Sam and Emma? Anything you also want to add, or Luke? Or anybody else want to ask any questions about it? It's all a bit flat, I think. So not what you've said, but there's nothing exciting or that's going to knock us sideways or anything, is there? In terms of a Labour government, there's no increase in the top rate of tax, did they say? So we've got a question there, and then Harriet, we'll move on to you in a second.
Hi, Luke, Jan England. I was going to say, we're asking about, are you ready for a Labour government? This is a Tory budget next week. Are Labour likely to storm in and do something completely different?
Very good question. I think both governments will be very hesitant to make any major changes at the moment. We're in an election year. I think this budget from the Tories will be small increases, like we say, a 1% change in income tax rates, maybe a 1% change again in national insurance, something like that. I don't think anyone will go full in on a major inheritance tax change or a capital taxes change. It will be small increments if there are any changes. It will be freezing of rate bands, like we've mentioned, and I can't see Labour really interfering or having an effect on any of that. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thanks, John, for that question. Anything else before we move on? Sorry?
I have got just a quick. Yeah, I just think, to follow up on what Luke said, I think if we've got a Labour government, while initially there might not be many changes, I do think we can expect changes before the end of their term. And I think at the moment, in terms of tax, we have got a lot of good reliefs, and a lot of our work and a lot of you guys can plan using those reliefs. We don't know whether they're going to be around in sort of 5 years' time. So I think I would just say to anyone that's thinking of particularly inheritance tax planning or has potential development land, solar land, it's probably worth thinking about things sooner rather than later, because it's easier to put things in place now under legislation that we know and understand, rather than try and scrabble around possibly when changes come in, 3-4 years' time. So that would just be, our advice.
Thanks, Sam. So before we have potential change of government, I think it's fairly easy to sort people out at the moment, isn't it? Yeah, we have quite a few tools in our toolbox, basically, to help farming businesses. Thank you very much. Thank you, three of you.